Hi there everyone, and welcome to this restorative yoga practice. And our intention for today's practice is not only to, of course, restore ourselves physically, mentally and emotionally, but also to practice the art of stillness, the practice of radical rest, where we learn just to be quiet with ourselves. And I know this can sometimes sound a bit daunting, particularly if you're quite a busy person, quite an active person. I myself tend to be quite busy. I can like lots of stimulation from my mind. I like to feel as though I'm got a project to work on. So I really understand that desire to be outward focused. But what I've really learned in my own practice is the pure bliss really that comes from learning to just let all of that go. Not all of the time, of course, but just occasionally stepping back from the doing and the busyness and the achieving, and actually just learning to rest in our awareness. And we can think of this as a form of pratyahara, which means a withdrawal of the senses. So we can think of withdrawing our senses by closing our eyes, by softening the effort with our body, by moving closer to our breath. So it's as though our energy, rather than being scattered all out here, just comes back in towards us. So with restorative yoga, we use quite a lot of equipment. It's important that you're warm and comfortable. So I'm recording this in August. You might be practicing at a completely different time of year. As you can tell, I'm also pregnant, so making me a little bit warmer than perhaps I usually would be. I will be demonstrating all of the postures, but I'm not going to be staying in them. So if you glance at the screen, which I recommend you don't do, and you see me just sitting up, don't worry, you haven't missed anything. In terms of the equipment, if you have a chair, this will be really helpful. A footstool will also work. Even your sofa could possibly work, depending on the setup of your room. You, of course, need some space to be able to lie down. So a chair of some kind. I have a blanket here on top of this chair because it's a metal chair. So you could do the same if you have a metal chair. It's also useful to have a blanket to keep yourself warm. A thin cushion for your head or another folded blanket, a bolster or a pillow, and that should be fine for today. If you want to have an eye pillow, if there's anything extra that you like to have nearby, just have it all so that you can easily find it. It's useful to remove things like glasses, heavy jewellery, anything that might be sticking into your head before you come into the practice, and then you're ready to begin. So our first posture is going to be taking the legs up onto this chair seat. Now you can do this with or without your bolster. If you're menstruating or pregnant, well, if you are heavily pregnant, actually, I wouldn't recommend you do this posture. I recommend you check out my pregnancy videos instead. But in menstruating, you can do this simply lying flat on your back. Otherwise, you can perch yourself up onto your bolster, sitting right up onto the edge. Your cushion is just behind you on your mat. And then you can swing yourself so that your legs are on that chair seat. The back of your pelvis is on the bolster. And then carefully lower yourself all the way down. And then you can adjust. So we generally adjust, we tuck the shoulders in underneath us, so pulling the shoulder blades from the back. You might find it helpful just to press your feet onto the chair seat. And then if you need to adjust the position of the bolster, you can just lift your bum up, roll that bolster up or down, and then lengthen the legs again. Chin is dropping towards the breastbone. Arms are coming out by the side. And you're allowing your eyes to close. So there's not one exact position for the bolster. Generally, it's somewhere between the back of your pelvis, so the sacrum, and for some people slightly higher up the back, so towards those very bottom ribs. And it really just depends on what gives you the greatest support. So somewhere between your sacrum and your lower rib cage, there should be a point where you think, yes, this just feels comfortable. And of course, that's what we're looking for in today's practice is that it comes comfortably and easily to us. so that we're really able to get into that relaxed state that restorative yoga offers. So we do hold these postures for a fair amount of time. So it is important that you take that time to get comfortable so that you are able to relax. Remember that at the beginning of the practice, it can take a little bit of time. The mind can sometimes still be busy, so thinking about what you've been doing or what you've got to do. This is very natural and normal, but this is why we come to yoga, so that we recognize that we're darting between the past and the future in our mind, and we just start to sink a little bit deeper. So it's like your mind is the ocean, and your day-to-day thoughts, the busyness, is the surface of the ocean. And perhaps there's lots of waves or moving in lots of directions. Perhaps it's a bit stormy on that surface. And in the yoga practice, it's not like we're trying to stop the storm, but we're just sinking beneath it. So we're just sinking a little bit deeper beneath those waves. And so this is a wonderful posture, just to feel that sense of sinking down towards the earth with your legs above your head. See if you can imagine your legs becoming lighter, allowing the legs to sink down towards the chair. Imagine that your brain is shrinking away from your forehead and towards the back of your skull. Imagine it's shaped like a walnut, and that walnut just sinking and shrinking towards the back of the head. Give yourself permission just to be, acknowledging whatever it is you are feeling, anything that's brought you to your mat in particular today. And acknowledging the effort to be here, the effort to have taken out the mat, established all your bits and pieces. And just acknowledge the effort you have made. Give yourself a little bit of gratitude for having carved out this time for yourself. And you might notice in this posture, or just in general throughout the practice, that your breath changes. And this is what we're looking for. The breath to gradually slow down, become softer. And so you might just spend a few moments now just noticing your breath, not trying to change it or correct it in any way, but just noticing. And you'll notice that as you watch your breath, that your mind continues its adventures forward and backwards. And so just offer compassionate observation to that. Just notice, oh, my mind is wandering here and there. And then sometimes I come back to the breath, and then sometimes my mind goes again. Just watch this unfolding, this experience of simply being human. And we'll have some silence from here. Come back to the feeling of your body. Notice what's been moving through your mind. Acknowledge and welcome your experience. It's not right, it's not wrong, it just is. Take a breath. And then we're going to prepare to move from this position. So if you have a bolster of some sort underneath you, you've got two ways of coming out. One is to, again, press your feet into the edge of the chair so that you can lift your bum up, move the bolster to the side, and then lower your bum down. Or you can roll off the bolster to the side. I want you to do whatever feels easiest. Of course, if you weren't on a bolster, it's much easier. You just simply roll to the side. Let yourself rest here for as long as you need. And then push yourself up. Use your arms to really push yourself up. So you're using your arm muscles rather than your back muscles. You can slide your chair or footstool out of your way if necessary. And then we're going to come into a child's pose. So taking your bolster, taking your pillow, if you need it. You might not need this, so it's up to you. And then coming to fold yourself forward and down. So take as much support as you need here. Now, you can make this more comfortable by, if your bottom doesn't come down to your calves, then just place a blanket of some kind between the calves and the bum, so you've got a little bit extra support. You can also, if it's the tops of your ankles which cause you problems, roll up the blanket so it's a long, thin rectangle, and then just place the tops of your feet, the tops of the ankles, on that roll, and that can help if the ankles are feeling a bit stiff, and then continue to fold forward. If the bolster feels far away, put something underneath it. So it could be your cushion, could be a yoga block, and then you don't have quite so far down to get to. Take your time to get here. If you do struggle with child's pose, it can be a useful one to practice on your bed with a much softer mattress beneath you, which will help just support the joints a little bit more, and it'll just have more give than the floor. Giving yourself that time, head turned to one side, and just landing in this next posture. Allowing the shoulders to move from the ears, the tailbone to drop towards the heels. Exploring, taking a few breaths into the back of your body if this is comfortable for you. And at any point, just letting the breath go. If you are finding it difficult for your mind to settle, just stay with the breath, an easy breath. In this posture, breathing into the back of your body. Otherwise, you can just let that go. Remember, this is the practice of dropping into our being. When we reconnect with ourselves, sometimes we find little pockets of tension, whether that's in our body, in our breath, in our minds, in our hearts. And in the yoga practice, we're looking to just become aware of all of this rather than distracting ourselves or just pretending everything is fine. We actually just become a bit more accepting of ourselves and whatever's going on for us today. If you ever have enough of being in any of these postures, you're always welcome to come out sooner, and you can just sit in a meditative posture or lie. Equally, if you ever feel like you need longer in a posture, just pause the video and stay as long as you like. Again, there's no particular right or wrong. And then if you just explore turning your head to face the other way, this side of your neck might be the tighter side, so it might feel a little less comfortable. Do feel free to turn your head back at any point. And then resettle. Softly breathing into the back of your body. ready, turning your gaze to face towards your bolster, using your hands and your arms to push yourself up to sitting. And we will come and sit in a kneeling position in the middle of the bolster. So if you're using pillows, you might need a few pillows here so that you feel you've got lots of support. There should be no pressure coming through the knees. So if your knees are uncomfortable, try just sitting higher. And if that doesn't work, you can actually do this posture sitting on a chair. Just make sure that you're not slumping in a chair, that you're sitting up nice and tall. So let's have that sense of lengthening the crown of the head to the ceiling. So that length is drawing through the spine as you take a breath in. And then as you breathe out, gently twisting to the right. So this right hand will reach to the back of the bolster and the left hand to the front, just more or less. If it feels awkward to reach the bolster, you can just put one hand on your back and one hand can stay on that left knee. We're going to keep the chin in line with the breastbone for the moment. Gaze is slightly down. And just breathing here. As you inhale, lengthening through the back of your body. And as you exhale, if you want to twist a bit deeper, feel as though this left kidney is trying to move forward and up. Pregnancy and menstruation, you generally don't twist too much with the lower abdomen. But for those of you able to twist a little bit more deeply today, as you exhale, feel that left kidney moving forward and up. Slow down your breath, soften your tongue, relax through the legs. One more breath in. And as you breathe out, keep that length through the spine. So you come back to center, sitting tall. You might notice a difference between the two halves of the body. So let's balance ourselves up, breathing in to lengthen. Breathing out, turning to the left, finding the most comfortable position for your hands to lie. So we're looking for length through this collarbone region. Chin staying in line with breastbone, gaze slightly down. Breathing here. Soften your jaw, soften the tongue. For those of you looking to go deeper into the twist, start with the breath in to lengthen. As you breathe out, feel that right kidney moving forward and up. The kidneys are in the back of the waist, a kind of high waistline region. Softly breathe, soften your forehead, eyes relaxed. And let's have one more breath in. And use that breath out, turning to face forward once again. From here, we're going to come sitting back onto the bolster. Again, you might like a thin cushion to support your head as we come into a supported bridge pose. So similar to how we were when we were using the chair, but without lifting the legs. We're going to lower ourselves back. So you can lift and just move the tailbone forward a little, as if you had a nice bushy tail and you would bring it in between your legs. So that little tug of the pelvis, but only just to lengthen the tailbone so that then when you lower down, you can completely relax the pelvis and feel that the back of the pelvis is supported onto your bolster. As the shoulders come down to the floor, take the time to tuck them in. Draw your chin towards the chest, and then if you need to, walk your feet closer to the bolster, lift your heels, lift your bum, and then you can roll that bolster up and down. You might find you just need to use your thumbs just to push the flesh of the buttocks towards the heels as you lower down, so you keep the length in your lower back, and then you can relax the arms to the side. Feet can be hip width apart or a bit wider, whatever is comfortable. Chin drawing towards the chest and eyes closed. Allowing that sense of weight once again to come through the upper back. And really feeling that your eyes are dropping downward here, as if the closed eyes are just dropping, drooping down to the bottom of the eye socket. Inviting your thoughts to draw in. Enjoying this lateral movement of the rib cage here, so that the rib cage as you breathe in is expanding out to the side. And then softly retracting back in. And this might feel an unusual way to breathe. You don't have to do multiple rounds. We're just exploring. Inhale, taking the rib cage out to the side. And as you exhale, allowing the rib cage to come back in. Shoulders descending to the floor. Eyes and jaw staying heavy. An easy breath. If you find that you experience any pinching in your lower back in this posture, you may be scrunching in your lower back a little bit. So you can try that adjustment again of walking the feet closer to your bolster, lifting your bum, and then as you lower your bum, really make an effort to lengthen the tailbone towards the feet. Use the hands on the back body to push the flesh down. If that doesn't help, try a lower lift. You don't have to be on a bolster. Even a folded blanket would work. So it doesn't have to be a big lift. To make it work for you. And then those of you that have found that settling place, let's drop back into the silence here, remembering that you can use your breath as an anchor if that supports you. Breathing breath into your lungs on the inhale, inviting the ribs to soften on the exhale. Remember to guide your mind back to your body and your breath. If it gets too carried away. From here, we'll start to move out of this posture. So you might like to walk the feet closer to the bolster. Lift your heels off the floor, so you're pressing into the balls of your feet to lift the heels, and then lifting your bum. Push the bolster to the side and lower all the way flat onto your back. And just take a few moments so you're flat on your back, feet on the floor, knees bent, that hip width apart. Let your lower back just sink into the floor for a breath or two. And then carefully bring both of the knees towards your chest, lifting one leg at a time, and take a rock and roll. So across your lower back, anything that feels good. So you're just massaging out the lower back. So if you did experience any mild discomfort in that posture, next time you come to it, just don't use a bolster, use something flatter, and it should probably make all the difference. But now you can just ease out any tension with this little bit of self-massage onto the mat. And then rolling to your side. And once again, coming up to sit. And we'll come to our final posture. We're taking the legs up against the wall. Now, if this doesn't feel accessible to you for any reason, you can go back to the first posture with the legs on the chair. It's totally fine to repeat that. Otherwise, we'll work with the legs straight up against the wall. So again, you can use a bolster underneath you. You can also use something flatter, like a folded blanket. So I'll just show you with the folded blanket. So just to be clear on what I mean, it doesn't have to be a big lift, just elevating your pelvis, even just an inch away from the floor can have the same energetic qualities. Keeping that cushion for your head if you want it. If you feel that you don't need it, discard it. Very similar to how we did the first posture with the legs on the chair. We sit onto the edge of our folded blanket or bolster. We swing our legs up. And then we position the legs against the wall. Now, I'm actually probably a bit far from the wall here. So I would actually just start that again. So I'm a bit closer to the wall. So generally you want to be about hand's width away from the wall. So you don't want to feel that you're really far from the wall, but you also don't want to feel that you're too close. Your legs can be straight, or you can have a little bend in the knees. And your hands can rest down by the side, on your ribs, on your belly, wherever you prefer. Feet can be close together or hip width apart. I generally wouldn't go too wide with the legs. It can cause a little bit of tension in the pelvis, but just see what suits you best. And then arrive here. So again, for anyone menstruating, you can do this posture lying flat on your back. If you're heavily menstruating, that might not feel good. You could just skip this posture, come straight to Shavasana. So we're coming back to that similar place that we started, elevating legs over head, hips over heart. Inviting tension just to drain out of the legs. Inviting the legs to become that little bit lighter. As if your muscles were releasing the grip on your bones. Allowing the back of your body to sink down towards the floor. Imagine tension just draining away from your face. Jaw becoming slack. Imagine your cheeks becoming hollow. And that space behind your ears becoming softer. Dropping the gaze downward as if looking into your own being. And imagining that walnut-shaped brain once again melting away from the forehead towards the back of your head as you softly breathe here. You might like to imagine you're breathing a colourful light around your body. Breathing this light from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet, and then down from the soles of the feet to the crown of the head. Bathing yourself in light, colour, as if this light was penetrating and permeating your skin, all of your organs, healing, cleansing and bathing. And just breathing in this way as long as it suits you. Remember, just sinking below the surface of the ocean, those busy crashing waves, sinking to that place deeper within you of greater peace and tranquility. And then when you're ready, bend your knees and just let your feet dangle a little lower than your knees, just to let the blood come back to your feet. From here, again, two options. One, you just roll off to the side, which will feel easier if you're on a low support, like a folded blanket. You can roll off to the side if you're on a bolster, just take care. And if you prefer, you can press the soles of the feet into the wall, lift your bum, push the bolster out of the way, lower your bum, and then roll to the side. So always find the easiest way out. And once you have come to rest on your side for a few moments, from here you can then use your arms, push yourself up to sit, and then set up for your Shavasana. So perhaps you'd like to take the bolster for behind the knees, your cushion for behind your head, your blanket as a cover, anything else that you might want, such as an extra jumper, a pair of socks, perhaps an eye pillow. Let yourself settle towards the floor, coming to lie flat on your back. And as you come to lying, perhaps taking a couple of slightly slower breaths. Sighing and yawning away your exhale, landing and settling in your body. for letting go of the effort of your breath, letting go of the effort of being in any particular posture, and simply coming here to rest. And take a few moments here just to allow all the sound around you to drift, drifting through your awareness. bring your awareness into your body as you slowly prepare to move your body any way that feels good. Softly returning the eyes to the light in your own time. Be mindful with your eyes, so no sudden shock to the eyes if possible. As the eyes open, take in your surroundings. Feel that everything moves towards you. And then you can come and lie onto your side, resting comfortably here, head supported with cushion or arm. Come up to sit whenever you're ready. And just take a moment, let's bring the palms together, rest at the heart space, a gesture for balance, of harmony, combining left and right side, masculine and feminine, letting everything dissolve at the heart space. Take a breath in here, nice and soft. Breathing out, bow your head to your heart in gratitude towards yourself for having invested this time in your own equilibrium, your own sense of internal balance and harmony, and your deep need to rest. Namaste. Thank you for sharing this practice with me, everyone. Come back to it again and again and again. You can always modify the length of time you're in the postures, depending on how much time you've got and how you feel. It's important just to practice, even if you don't always have this long. Even just 5 minutes in a posture can do you the world of good. So I hope that this practice sustains you through the rest of the day and the week, and I will see you here again soon. Namaste.